Warning! This episode of The Gadget Show could cause serious injury to presenters.
Hello and welcome to The Gadget Show. And as you may have already gathered by that little bit at the top, we've got a great show for you tonight.
Yes, we have indeed, because these two boys are being very brave and roughy-tufty and each taking on a very demanding and potentially dangerous challenge.
Yeah, she's right, but I do want to point out that neither Jason or myself take on these highly dangerous challenges because we want to make ourselves more attractive to women. We do it because we have a genuine love for tech, and we really do want to push the endurance levels of gadgetry to its very limits.
I don't agree. No, I actually do it because I want to get the attention from the girls. And look at the body language. Is it just me that notices this? When we risk life and limb, we become much more manly.
Well, I have noticed a closeness now between Susie and myself. It's quite palpable, isn't it?
Yeah, look at that. Look at the tension there.
So the first part of the challenge involves gravity, a very fast car and a hill in Germany.
Fail. This half-mile stretch of road in Saarburg, Germany, contains 6 perilously tight hairpin corners. It's one of the most testing and windy stretches of road in Europe. In a few weeks' time, I have to return here for perhaps my most daunting Gadget Show challenge yet. I have to race down this hill quicker than an expert racing driver can pilot a sports car up it. Now, I'm no racing driver, so that's going to present a few problems. And consider this. My vehicle won't actually have an engine. Because I'll be driving one of these, a gravity racer, a vehicle that relies solely on the Earth's gravitational pull to give it speed. 2 years ago, we built our own gravity racer on The Gadget Show.
Come on, baby! Come on, let's get this race on!
And Jason raced it against the most successful soapbox racer in the UK, a model created by top sports car manufacturers, Lotus.
No, he's taken me! The Lotus has taken me, damn him! Damn it!
He lost, but only just. So close! However, taking on a proper car, that car, in fact, is a whole different ballgame. That is an Elise. A Lotus Elise. Yes, we're taking them on again. Building very fast, brilliant handling sports cars is what this very British manufacturer does every day. Yeah, I know. What the heck am I doing? To stand any chance of success, I had to find a way to tackle the hairpins without braking. The trouble is, traditional gravity racers are not built to go round really sharp bends. So my first step was to take our original machine, the Lotus Eater, off to some twisty road to find out where the problems lay. I'd also asked gravity racing world speed record holder Johnny Ackroyd to give me some pointers on driving technique. 36 miles per hour.
Gravity racing's all about smoothness, momentum, and it's about really precise steering over your racing line. Unlike a normal car, you can't use the brake, then put your foot back on the gas.
There is no gas.
Literally, there is.
It's the Lord's gas, isn't it? It's gravity. With that, I got in and got going. Okay, so, taking those first 2 turns. It's gonna get a bit hairy down here. Suddenly, the track looked very narrow and slippery, and my tyres were too skinny to cope with the treacherous corners. Oh, that hurt! Over the next few runs, my confidence built, and so did my speed. Woo, so here we go, man, yeah! That's really fast, man. Although a lack of grip meant I had to use the brakes for certain corners. I'm gonna just touch on the brake there. That is such a hairy turn. I was now only a few miles per hour slower than Johnny through the speed trap.
32, not bad.
Nice! But while my driving had passed muster, the Lotus Eater had revealed its shortfalls. If it struggled on these bends, how could it possibly cope with hairpins? It was clear I needed to come up with an all-new design. And who better to help me than Johnny's dad, David. Ackroyd Sr. built our first machine and is a true blue engineering powerhouse. David, I've been out for a few practice runs now, and what is really screaming out at me is the need for grip.
If we look at the car,
Yeah.
if I turn this, that wheel's coming up. We need to keep all 4 wheels on the ground to get the maximum grip.
Yep.
So for us, what we're going to do is something radical. We're going to try and give you suspension, and that will keep all 4 wheels on the ground at the same time.
No matter what the surface.
No matter what the surface.
But grip wasn't the only issue on David's mind.
We've got to look at aerodynamics, brakes. Really, it's got to be really rethought through.
A week later, I was back at the workshop and amazed by the progress David had already made on the new machine. Woohoo! Look at this! Shiny. Sleek aluminium bodywork had replaced the plywood used on the original model, and it looked absolutely awesome. But it was the bits bolted to it that would make the biggest difference, starting with the very special suspension. Look at it! It's a work of art. Double wishbone, coiled dampers to make sure that my tyres stay in contact with the tarmac so I'll be able to steer straighter and corner tighter. It's the kind of setup you'd expect on a supercar, not a soapbox. I'd also decided to specify some super grippy tyres. A very sticky rubber on the outside, and inside that may look like normal rubber, but it is in fact a compound rather like chewing gum. If I get a puncture, it will reseal itself immediately. And these super strong wheels are tailor-made to cope with all the cornering stresses of me going around those tight bends. At high speed, might I add. And finally, I'd asked for brakes to be fitted to all 4 wheels instead of the usual 2. Although braking is not generally the done thing in gravity racing, I was, after all, about to race down a German mountainside. Everyone who has helped me with the design, build, and the training so far for this challenge has been fantastic. But their job is almost done. From now on, it's down to me. Hope I can deliver.
Wow. Oh, cool. But you know, the footage of the racing with the crashes is so dangerous.
Yeah, it is very dangerous, and those crashes are happening at around 25 to 35 miles per hour. So even though it doesn't sound quick, when you're in the vehicle going that fast...
Yeah, it feels it.
Oh, you can see that so because the guy was ragdolling, wasn't he, as he span around and hit those barriers.
Yeah.
So all of this is, of course, about training you up and designing the perfect vehicle to take on a Lotus Elise.
It looks really good, this
Yes,
one.
it does. Make sure you watch, because we are about to unveil the Lotus Eater Mark II.
Welcome back. Now I want to talk to you about Freeview HD PVRs. These are set-top boxes that can receive all the free digital TV channels that you can get through an aerial, including the high-definition ones. And what's more, you can record them simply with similar functionality to a Sky Plus box. And crucially, you can do all this without any subscription whatsoever. Unless you're a committed sports fan or a dedicated movie buff, these could well be the ideal solution to your TV watching needs. As ever though, which one's best? Well, to find out, I engaged in some serious testing.
I took 3 of the latest models to the most critical and discerning tester I know.
My mum.
She'd spend a couple of days living with each box, using the electronic program guides, recording programs, and then giving us her verdict.
Now we've got 3 boxes. They've got very similar spec, and unlike your present box, they're all high definition and you can record on them.
I often feel the need to record a programme.
These should make it a good deal easier.
Well, that's what I'd like.
First out of the box was the most expensive of the 3, the iScript. It has a whopping 1 terabyte hard disk, which will give you 500 hours of standard definition recording, or 250 hours of HD.
So, switch it on first of all.
We started by searching for the available channels, and disappointingly, it only came back with 82. Immediately we could see that using the EPG was going to be an awkward affair.
Why did you have to put it in a much fainter print?
Willfully difficult to see, actually, isn't it?
Using the remote control to work the keyboard was nigh on impossible.
It's quite a fiddly way of entering letters.
It is, yes.
I wasn't overly confident that Mum would like this box. So what did she think after a couple of days of using it?
I quite liked the iScript, but it would have been much easier to use if it had got a clearer remote and also a good instruction manual.
On to the next box, the mid-priced Humax, which proved easy to set up.
102 TV channels and 35 radio channels.
The Humax also grouped channels together, making finding all the HD content a doddle.
Well, now, is there anything there that you fancy recording?
Mum found the Electronic Programme Guide, or EPG, easy to use, and the search facility was very clear, meaning she could easily find her favourite programmes.
Ah, and it's there, look. Lots and lots of Gadget. Do you want to record one of those?
It also connected to the internet, allowing access to catch-up services like the iPlayer. But how did Mum feel after a couple of days with it?
The Humax was much better. It was more responsive, it was easier and quicker to record the programme and play it back.
Finally, the last of our boxes to set up was the cheapest of the three, the Sagem Com. It has two different sizes of hard disk, 320 or 500 gigabytes, and an 8-day EPG.
Searching for the channels, which gives us time to have a scone. Would you like some cream?
Not too much.
Not too much. Oh, so we saved the list. We've got 85.
The EPG looked fine, but the remote control drove Mum mad. It was incredibly slow to respond and was always out of step.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, it is the theme of it, is it?
3.
So, would Mum have enough patience to last 2 days with the Sagem Com and its sluggish remote?
The machine couldn't keep in time with me. It really was the fact that it was slow that I didn't find so encouraging.
On to G ratings, and just scraping 2 Gs is the Sagem Com. Its slow responses really drove my mum mad. With 3 Gs, it's the iScript, which was more responsive and easier to use, and the latest model has an impressive 2 terabyte hard disk. And the Humax gets 4 Gs. It had the clearest interface, was the easiest to use, received the most channels, and had the internet catch-up services which Mum really liked. And there's a 1 terabyte hard disk model available. Mum and I agreed that it really is the best Freeview HD box around.
Right, we're moving on and hopefully onto our first victory of this week's 2 challenges.
Yes, Jason and Otis have each taken on a very ambitious build challenge.
Yeah, we're going to see Jason try and kill himself later on his supersonic tea tray. But first, will Otis emerge victorious in his challenge?
Remember, he's built a racing car powered only by gravity, in which he's going to be taking on a proper full-on sports car.
Yeah, a sports car with a very growly engine.
We'd done everything possible to prepare for this challenge. I'd practiced my driving skills under the watchful eye of world champion Johnny Ackroyd.
Here we go, man, yeah! Not bad.
And with Father David's help, had built one of the most technologically advanced gravity racers ever. Now we were back in Germany to see if all that work would pay off. But the fact is, I don't just face 1 challenge today, it's 3. Firstly, I have to negotiate turns like these. Tight hairpin corners that gravity racers don't normally have to contend with. Secondly, I'm up against that very British, very fast Lotus Elise. Thirdly, it's going to be piloted by this man, who's a bit of an expert when it comes to driving cars like those. This man is Tim Roebuck, one of Lotus's top test drivers. No one knows the car better or can extract more performance from it. Together, they would form a formidable combination. But I have been allowed 1 small concession, a rolling start. I will launch from up there, but my timing will not commence until I have passed through these start gates. Tim, however, will have to start from a complete standstill. And because he doesn't need gravity to power his Lotus, he would be travelling up the hill. Before the race, I was allowed a couple of practice runs to see if the gravity racer was every bit as good as it looked. I knew instantly that it was. Much smoother ride. There we are, beautifully round these corners. It's just sticking to the road, it's great. Thanks to the new suspension, tyres and wheels we'd developed, the level of grip in the corners was immense compared to the original Lotus Eater machine. But could it honestly beat a proper sports car? I was about to find out because it was time for the race.
Yeah.
While I got into position at the top of the hill, Tim was taking his place at the bottom.
There we go.
Looking unnervingly calm. Now, obviously, we would be racing separately to avoid any head-on collisions that would leave me a squishy mess on the tarmac. But to make things more interesting and exciting, we've edited our runs together. So as I commenced my rolling start, I had no idea what the next minute would hold. But I knew that to win, I'd have to push my nerve and my machine to the absolute limit. As I passed the start line, my time began. Oh, let's do it. And so did Tim's.
A little bit of wheel spin at the start.
Come on, O! Ah, these turns are hard now, because you're not braking. I don't need no brakes. Come on, Otis. Meanwhile, Tim was already flying in his Elise. It can reach 60 miles per hour in a very fast 6 seconds. Keep it going. Come on, good lad, good lad. But the car's biggest asset is its lightness. At around half the weight of a normal family saloon, it's incredibly nimble. But although the Lotus was built for roads like this, Tim was still having to slow down for every corner, something I was hoping to avoid. No brakes, just dealing with it, just do it. Good lad, nice. Come on, Otis, come on. I really want to win this. I really want this. I was at full race speed and wringing the neck of my Gravity Racer. Ah, there goes the camera! I'd still not touched the brakes once and the finish line was now in sight. No fear, no fear. Come on, good lad. So good. Oh, I want to do it again. I couldn't have tried harder or gone faster, but had I been fast enough, we were brought together for the result. I'd lost, but only by 8 seconds over an 80-second course. I'd taken on a thoroughbred sports car with nothing more than Newton's law for help and given him a real run for his money. And I wasn't disappointed. Much.
Wow! Just a minute. 8 seconds the difference.
Yes.
That's incredible.
That is amazing. This is incredible.
It is. It's beautiful. But you did you use the brakes at all?
No brakes and 49.5.
Oh, that deserves a round of applause.
Well, hang on a minute. Using just gravity, you got almost 50 miles an hour.
I did indeed.
It's incredible.
Thank you very much.
Seriously. Oh, you only just failed, but in our eyes, you're our hero.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you.
Jace, you're seriously going to have to up your game now.
Welcome back to the Gadget Show. Now it's time for one of our top 5s, and we're talking websites. Now, I don't know about you, but I love wasting time on the web, and because I'm on the Gadget Show, I can pass it off as research. So, in the interests of not really doing very much work but still being paid, here are our top 5 websites that you may have never heard of. Here on the Gadget Show, we are constantly scouring the web to find the best sites out there so that you don't have to. There are so many, sometimes it's hard to work out which ones are good and which ones are downright useless. So here are our top 5 websites that you've probably never heard of. At number 5, we've got something for you if you're feeling a little creative. It's a website called Extra Normal, and it enables you to create short animated movies or clips that you can send to your mates.
Extra Normal allows you to create your own animated films by designing the characters and then typing in the words you want them to say. And when it's done, you click to view it and then can share it on your social networks.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to this Extra Normal edition of the Gadget Show.
Today, Susie has created this video.
Yes, and doesn't it look amazing? But more importantly, don't I look amazing, Otis?
Yes, Susie, you always look fantastic, and your presenting ability is second to none.
Why, thank you.
Just like real life. Not.
At number 4, it's Corkboard. Corkboard is a site that lets you create a digital corkboard to fill with virtual sticky notes. You get assigned your own personal URL, which means that you can share your corkboard with friends and family, who can then edit, change and create their own notes to stick on your board.
Quite cool. Very simple. And number 3 is a neat little idea for the Android phone platform. It's called App Inventor, and it allows you to create your own app to download to your phone to share with all your friends.
You don't need to know complex computer codes. You build your app by simply dragging building blocks into a visual interface. Your apps can be as complicated or as personal as you like. They can take advantage of the functionality of your phone, or you can keep them simple and just have a bit of fun.
I've created a little app which I've downloaded to my phone. You can see there's my cat. And if I just give him a little tickle under the chin, you can hear him.
At number 2, it's isleoftune.com.
It allows you to compose your own music by designing a fictional town layout.
You drag the roads to wherever you want, and then each plant, tree or house, even the street lights, are different notes or sounds.
I worked on this one earlier. See if you can tell what it is. It's the Gadget Show theme tune.
Well, nearly.
Hours of fun creating your own music by designing a little town. The isleoftune.com.
And the number 1 spot goes to quickie.com. Quickie searches the web and automatically compiles the information it finds on Wikipedia with pictures it finds on the net into a presentation on your chosen subject.
So if I just type in my beloved football club, Wolverhampton Wanderers, click on that, it should tell me the story about Wolves.
Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club is an English Premier League Association football based in Wolverhampton in the West Midlands,
There we go.
England,
Yes.
and currently playing in the Premier League.
Correct.
Commonly referred to by its nickname Wolves.
So it's basically telling you a story about the subject that you're searching. It's based on 3 million articles and obviously will only get bigger. The future is here.
Now it's time for the second big and super speedy challenge in the show, defined by big and super speedy challenges.
Yes, that's right. The first part of the challenge saw me piloting this marvel of British engineering, and I was going up against another marvel of British engineering, the Lotus Elise. I lost that challenge by a handful of seconds. So, Jason,
yes,
I'm afraid it's all down to you.
You know, if you were to look up the words massively, overambitious and idiocy in the dictionary, then next to each of those words, you'd find a definition that was basically this challenge. This is Bentwaters Parks in Suffolk. And in around 3 weeks' time, if all goes well, I should be travelling at 115 miles an hour when I reach this point on the runway. Now, that would be fine if I was in a nice, big, safe car, but I'll be lying unsecured on top of a jet luge, which, if you're unfamiliar with the concept, is basically a supersonic tea tray. And why am I doing it? Because the Gadget Show has challenged me to attempt to break the jet luge world land speed record, which currently sits at 114 miles per hour. This would not be the first time I'd ridden a jet luge. As part of my preparations for a power tool challenge last year, oh yes! I'd clocked a rather handy 90 miles per hour on one. Oh shit! However, doing so would push my nerve to the very limit. In order to break the record, I'd need to go 25 miles per hour faster. Just inches from the tarmac, and with no mechanical steering or brakes, I'd be covering the length of a football pitch in under 2 seconds. I'm gonna need some help, and lots of it. I decided to start off with some training. At over 100 miles an hour, one wrong move could prove fatal. So hopefully this man, ex-British street luge champ Will Stevenson, would ensure my riding technique was spot on. Street luge might use gravity rather than jet engines for propulsion, but the skills needed to steer them accurately and stop them quickly are the same. Okay, Will, what are the basic techniques and how does the geometry of your setup, dictate how I handle it?
Right, what the luge is it's a steel frame all the way around with the chassis, and underneath we're using cast aluminium trucks and urethane wheels, and the way that you steer it is just lean from one side to the other. So if you're turning right, you need to swing your legs out to the left. Okay. Your right hand forward, your left hand back, and just lean, 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 lean. And then if you've got another turn, you then got to switch really quick and do the opposite.
Let's do it. Let's give it a
Brilliant,
go.
let's go. Let's get this popper moving.
With our safety kit on, we were off on our first training run.
That's good. That's it, good.
And it seemed I was a natural. The first few corners were easy.
Woo-hoo! Now point your toes as well.
Then I hit the straight and really began to fly.
Oh my God, this is so fast! Go, go, go!
I was having the time of my life. But there was still one very tricky corner to tackle before the finish. A sharp right-hander. Will made it look easy. But I didn't.
Ah! Damn!
We set off again, and once more I was fine until I reached that corner.
Oh, God!
Time after time, I flew off the course.
I hate this corner!
But there was worse to come. Because in my determination to conquer the evil curve...
Damn it!
I got my instructor in a bit of a mess. Literally.
Man, you put me in a cesspit!
Oh, no, I'm really sorry, man.
I had just one chance left.
Go!
To prove I had the ability to control the luge over a complete run, something my life would depend on during the World Record Challenge. As my nightmare bend approached, I focused everything on balancing the luge correctly. And finally, when it really mattered, I nailed it!
Yeah, baby! Oh, yes!
I've learnt so much during my training with Will, but I've also, during my constant runs up and down this hill, developed a few little ideas that I think could give me the edge when I go for this world record. All I've got to do now is build my jet-powered luge. And that brought me here to EPM Technology in Derby. This company specialises in making products out of carbon composite, a material that would allow me to build the lightest yet strongest jet luge possible. There is no one better qualified, because these guys make composite parts for Formula One teams. That is a monocoque for a 2011 Formula One racing car. In a few months' time, it could well be winning races. I'd love to tell you who's going to be driving the car, but of course, if I did that, I'd have to come to your house and erase your mind. It was time to meet my construction team, led by Andy Butt. And you might notice a familiar face in the crowd, Joel King. The current jet luge world record holder had kindly offered his expertise and his old board as a design starting point to help me take his record off him. How very British. So first of all, we need to make it more powerful. And that simply means not one jet engine, but two. Then I moved on to the aerodynamics of the luge, because it seemed to me that by creating a fin-shaped housing at the back, we could conceal the fuel tanks and pipework, reducing drag. I'm hoping that might improve the airflow a little bit. To find out if my idea would work in practice, EPM turned my drawing into a 3D computer model and sent it off to vehicle dynamics experts Myra, who had agreed to run it through an aerodynamic simulation process. It wasn't long before we got the results back. Does it look good? Honestly, it's so smooth though, isn't it? What the simulation couldn't tell me was whether or not the luge would be stable at speeds of over 100 miles an hour. I'd only discover that on the day of the record attempt. But it looked amazing. Well, I've got to say, I'm absolutely blown away by this thing. Let's build this sucker. While Andy got the process underway, I turned my attention to the power source. This JetCat P200SX puts out 52 pounds of thrust. But I've got two of them. 104 pounds of thrust. That's phenomenal. Just think about it. I mean, the engineering on one of these things is staggering. This turbine inside, look, that spins at 112,000 RPM. Just to put that in context, your average car engine will explode at 8,000 RPM. Over the next few days, the body of the luge began to take shape. First, a high-density foam replica was created to produce top and bottom half moulds. These moulds were filled with carbon fibre and baked in an oven. Then the resulting sections were glued together. It weighed just 10 kilograms, but was stronger than steel. And I wasn't cutting corners on the wheels either. As far as I'm concerned, these are one of the most crucial components on my machine, the trucks. And no expense has been spared. Look, we've even got the Gadget logo on there. These surf rods are the creme de la creme of trucks. Lastly, the fuel tank, engines and throttle were fitted. My machine was ready. There was no doubt that it possessed everything required to break the world record. The only question was, could I?
Oh. Do you know what? I've known you for 7 years and I cannot believe you're attempting this. The amount of thrust at the back of that thing to the weight just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, and bonkers. Jason, where are the brakes?
They're the brakes.
What, that's it?
Yeah, just the rubber.
150 miles an hour and you're going to brake with your feet.
Yeah, that's why we're using the longest runway in Britain. because the length of space and of tarmac it takes to stop at that speed is astonishing. I mean, it's funny, the boy in me, you know, really wanted just to jump on this thing and just fly, you know? But the adult, even from day one when we were designing it, was saying, hang on a minute, is this really safe?
Yeah. It's madness.
I can't believe you're still here.
I am here, I think I'm here, yeah.
So, will Jason break a record or break bones?
Can a tea tray go supersonic?
And can you wait until after the break to see what happens? Because honestly, I really don't think I can.
No, but you've got to wait, all of you got to wait for a couple of reasons. One, because it builds the drama to the point of crescendo, and also because the ads pay for the whole show, so it's quite important.
Welcome back to The Gadget Show and to an episode that really should come with a health warning. So if you have got a nervous disposition, you might want to look away now.
Yes, because you might be able to see me go down in a blaze of glory, going to meet my maker in a fireball of grade A jet fuel.
Yeah, except, Jason, you're here now.
I am.
And the film that we're all about to see has already been shot and edited.
Yes.
And as we can still see, you are wearing the requisite limbs, so
I've still got
it's
them.
probably fair to assume that you're still in one piece.
Ah, you say that. Say any word that comes to mind.
Jace.
How do you know I'm not Robo Jace, who hosted the show a few weeks ago?
I'll tell you how we know. You can actually hear us.
Yeah, there is that point.
Do you know what, though? I don't think with this challenge is any need for any hype whatsoever. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back as Jason attempts to set a world record on what is basically a skateboard with a couple of jet engines strapped to the back.
My challenge was truly monumental. To break the existing jet luge world record of 114 miles per hour. But as the big day dawned, I was satisfied I'd done all I could to give myself the best chance. I'd learned the finer art of steering a luge. And of course, I'd built this. If Batman ever ordered up a jet luge, this would be it. No corners have been cut in the design of this exquisite racing machine. I just hope that the driver isn't the weak link in the chain. Because my luge was an all-new, completely untried design, the existing world record holder Joel King agreed to give it a couple of quick shakedown runs to find out if everything was working as it should.
Throttling up.
But it soon became obvious that although the engines were performing perfectly,
some acceleration,
something else was seriously wrong. The luge was becoming unstable at around 70 miles an hour, which was nowhere near the speed I'd need to achieve. We weren't sure if this was a fault of the basic design or simply a lack of grip on the greasy tarmac. But right now, the cause of the problem didn't really matter. I had a simple but difficult decision to make. If the world record holder was struggling, what hope had I? On the other hand, many people had worked extremely hard to get me this far. Yeah. So, I got on board the machine to try a few practice runs.
There we go. That is very quick.
Almost immediately, I experienced the same problem as Joel.
Yeah, that lateral movement is quite scary.
As the speed built up, the luge started to weave.
God!
Opening the throttle further only made the snaking worse. I had to stop. It just wasn't worth the risk. As we travelled back to the pits, I wondered if our pursuit of a super light machine had been our downfall. Maybe if it was heavier, it would be more stable. The trouble was we hadn't thought to bring any additional weights. It seemed our record attempt was over. But one of the crew remembered they had a lump of iron sitting in their car boot. As you do. 5 minutes later, it was strapped to the front of my machine. So much better. It's this. That's I now have to really engage my muscle to move it to the side, whereas before I could literally have done it with the end of my little finger. The jet luge had yet to go faster than 70 miles an hour, but with heavy rain forecast, I made the decision to abandon another test run and just go for the 115 mile per hour record and trust completely that our makeshift alterations would keep me straight and true.
The main event, people, what it's all about.
The acceleration was astonishing.
This is incredible. I've never in my life experienced anything like this.
The twin jet cat engines were screaming and the tarmac blurring just inches below my head.
This is more power than one human being should ever be allowed to play with.
I kept the throttle fully open and hung on, having no idea of my actual speed, but feeling sure I was getting close to 100 miles an hour.
The speed is utterly amazing. It's wobbling a little bit. I'm losing slight traction laterally.
However, I'd not yet passed my braking marker, so ignoring the warning signs, I pressed on. Then, all hell broke loose. The luge veered violently to my left, and although I started braking, the damp surface meant I couldn't slow down quickly enough. I was a passenger doing over 100 miles an hour on an out-of-control skateboard. I crossed an aircraft taxiway, flew onto the grass, and 50 metres later eventually came to a halt. That's my right foot. I tried to brake with my foot when I came off here. I'm feeling my hip a little bit. And it was a really bad idea. I don't know what speed I was going here. Just because when I put my foot down, it felt like I ripped my leg off. Although the jet luge seemed fine, I was too shaken for another run. So one question remained: what speed had I managed before going agricultural? 107 miles per hour. Just 7 miles per hour off the existing record. Somehow, that felt like unfinished business.
Nothing I've ever experienced in my life was as scary as that moment. It wasn't just a slow glide, it was a wrench. And then it was like I was sort of glued to it. And then in my visor, I saw the big concrete blocks.
Getting closer.
And I thought, this is serious. I walked away from a potentially, lethal situation, so I'm not complaining.
So you won't be on this again?
Of course I'll be on it again. We missed the world record by 8 miles an hour. We've got to come back. We've got to rebuild it. I've got ideas for a fin, downforce, extend the wheelbase. We can do this thing.
8 miles an hour off, 8 seconds off. You guys, you did the Gadget Show proud. You really did. Little round of applause from the girls.
Thanks, girls.
Yeah, well done. That's all we've got time for tonight. We will see you next time.
See you next time.
See you.